You know that one number that pretty much every company is obsessed with? Employee engagement. It's tracked, it's celebrated, millions are spent trying to pump it up. But what if I told you that very number, the one everyone trusts, is actually hiding a much bigger and way more dangerous problem? Seriously? Think about it. Is your company's favorite metric, that beloved engagement score, actually lying to you? In this explainer, we're going to unpack the evidence that shows, yeah, in a lot of cases, it really is. Okay, so here's where it all gets tangled up. We talk about engagement, and we mean motivation, right? Commitment to the job. But we completely forget about well-being, the actual mental and emotional health of our people. The biggest mistake is just assuming that if you have one, you automatically have the other. You don't. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll tackle the engagement illusion. Then we'll look at what your surveys are really measuring in sentiment versus strain. After that, we'll uncover the hidden cost of burnout, find a truer health signal, and wrap it all up with a new way to think. The engine, not the dashboard. All right, first up, the engagement illusion. This gets right to a massive misunderstanding. Just because an employee is motivated, just because they're hitting their targets, does not mean they are okay. So let's be super clear on our terms. Your standard engagement survey? It's built to measure motivation and commitment. It's asking, are my people passionate? Are they willing to go the extra mile? And look, on paper, that sounds fantastic. But that is only one side of the coin. Well-being is a totally different ballgame. It's not about what someone produces. It's about the person's whole health, their mental state, their emotional capacity. It's asking a much deeper question. Is this person genuinely thriving? And this right here is the dangerous paradox. An employee can be super engaged, a top performer, but also be deeply unwell. We all know this person, right? The one who's always on, crushing their goals. But underneath, that performance might be fueled by a sense of duty or even fear, while they are just completely burning out. So if your most engaged people can be completely unwell, why aren't the surveys catching it? Well, that brings us right to section 2, sentiment versus strain. It's time to peel back the layers on what these surveys are actually telling us. So why do those scores stay so high even when people are struggling? Well, there are a few big reasons. First, a lot of company cultures just don't feel safe enough to admit you're tired. Second, let's be real, people often game the survey, given the answers they think management wants to see. And third, there's this really powerful psychological trap where we mix up feeling useful with feeling well. And this leads to what might be the single most important insight of this whole thing. Engagement scores are a lagging indicator. Let me say that again. They are a lagging indicator. By the time that number finally drops, the damage is already done. It is literally like looking in your rearview mirror to watch a crash that already happened behind you. This timeline just makes it painfully clear. Look, in the first quarter, stress and overwork start to creep in. But in the second quarter, the engagement scores are still high. Why? Because people are pushing through. The drop doesn't actually show up until the third quarter, and by then, burnout is already fully set in. And that damage, it has a very real cost. Which brings us to section 3, the hidden cost of burnout. This is the bill that comes due when companies obsess over engagement but totally ignore well-being. See? Low well-being creates this toxic cocktail of problems. You get these awful burnout cycles where your best people just crash and end up leaving. You get quiet quitting, that psychological withdrawal where people just check out. And maybe the scariest one? Team contagion. Stress and negativity start to spread from person to person like a virus. And if you're not convinced, get this. Research shows that the engaged but exhausted employees, your supposed superstars, are statistically the fastest group to either totally disengage or just flat out resign. They burn incredibly bright, and then they burn out incredibly fast. Okay, I know that's a lot of bad news, but here's the good news. There is a much, much better way to do this. That brings us to section 4, a truer health signal. If engagement is the wrong metric, what should we be looking at instead? So instead of chasing one magic number, we need to look at a few true health signals. First, energy sustainability. Do people end the day feeling totally drained, or do they have energy left for their actual lives? Second, psychological safety. Is it really okay to admit a mistake without getting blamed? Third, recovery behaviors. Are people truly logging off and recharging, or is that always-on culture winning? Fourth, connection and belonging. Do people feel like they have real allies at work? And finally, meaning and purpose.
Do they see how their work connects to something bigger? These are the real vital signs of a healthy team.
So this all leads us to a really powerful new way to think about performance, which is our final section, the engine, not the dashboard. It's about totally reframing what we're actually managing here. If you remember one thing from this, let it be this. Relying only on engagement scores is like staring at a beautiful, shiny dashboard with all the lights glowing green. You think everything is perfect, but you're completely ignoring the sound of an engine that is screaming as it overheats. A total breakdown isn't a possibility, it's an inevitability. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Your engagement score, that tells you that your people are driving hard, no doubt about it. But your well-being data, that's what tells you if they're actually going to make it to the destination or if they're about to drive straight off a cliff.